Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to talk about India today, and I saw this article on Global Times, and I wanted to go over it with you guys and give you some of my own thoughts as well. So, without further ado, let's carry on. So, as you know, India's been having some huge COVID cases. Yesterday, I believe they've had over 2,000 deaths and over 200,000 cases in a day. So things are not looking well for India. But if you look back to way back in November, December time, India was actually, their infections and deaths were actually going down. So they were in a time when they were controlling the virus, but not sure what's happened recently, because it's just recently it's absolutely shot up. So this is why this article came up. Wrong priorities led to New Delhi to worsening epidemic situation. So I'm just gonna discuss a few things here. So I'll start from here. India has made its priorities wrong. Instead of focusing on epidemic prevention and control, New Delhi has been playing geopolitical games. India, as a Quad member, has been proactive in opposing China. India once bragged about its generous donation of COVID-19 vaccines in an attempt to compete with China. Now India is facing a vaccine shortage during the new wave. So what this sentence is trying to say is India's completely got its priorities wrong. I mean, during November, December last year, and even January, February, their infections have been going down. So things were looking good for India, actually. I mean, they did suffer in the first wave, but they looked like they were having some control. So what this article is trying to say is they completely, instead of focusing on bringing the control down even further, they completely the government was going in a completely different path, playing geopolitical games with China, and it also said playing games with America. So it says here, India once bragged about its generation donation of COVID-19 vaccines. So India is currently the top exporter of vaccines all over the world, even greater than China actually. And so there is a huge vaccine shortage in India at the moment. So a lot of people are complaining that why are you exporting all the vaccines when you have people at home which actually need the vaccines. So India is actually now importing vaccines from other countries, and they are kind of struggling because, as you know, the whole world is suffering from coronavirus. So getting vaccines at short notice is not that easy. I mean, there's a lot of countries who are on waiting lists and things like that. So they kind of failed in that regard, really. They should have been on top of all of this way back in November, December time, and instead they just completely let it go. And I don't know if you've seen the news last few days, but India's been having a huge gathering, religious festivals where there was millions and millions of people without masks, having a festival, and also President Modi, he's up for re-election, so he's been doing a lot of party marches and party election rollouts, and he's been doing a lot of kind of going around the country and doing a lot of election stuff and gatherings and things like that to get votes. So they have been. It almost seems like India's forgotten about the coronavirus, and they just carry on. They're just carrying us on as normal, and now they're suffering the after effects of all that, really. So I want to carry on going through this article a bit more. Even following the US steps in geopolitics, India still cannot win over Western countries' help during the COVID-19 crisis. So basically, because of all this crisis they have in America, Britain, they can't really help India, really. I mean, there's not much they can do. So, I mean, the Prime Minister was supposed to be going to India Monday, but he cancelled his visit. So I mean, and I don't know if you know about this, that India hopes that US will soon lift the ban of export of vaccine raw materials. So the way it works is, India produces a lot of vaccines for other countries, and they provide all the raw materials to produce their vaccines, but they haven't given India the raw materials to create their own vaccines. So that's the problem there. Biden administration only responded that the request was being considered. Like I said, being considered is not really helping, because, as you know, thousands of people are dying in India every day, so they need something fast. They don't just, and with Biden, just, everything, it's been considered. It doesn't seem like he's actually rushing or doesn't really care. India has almost attached itself to the US chariot, and yet major Western countries have not lent Delhi a helping hand, which is true. India's diplomacy has been seriously affected as well. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has cancelled his visit to Portugal for the India-EU summit, while France's visit is also likely to be rescheduled in view of the COVID-19 crisis. With such a large population, if India does not control the epidemic quickly, it may become the last country to get out of the epidemic worldwide, which is also true as well. India's COVID-19 is a mess, and country has not figured out any actual situation of how to deal with the COVID-19 infection. Rural areas and slums are ignored and have completely lost control, which is true. I mean, there is a huge problem, wealth gap in India. There's not enough hospitals, there's not enough oxygen, there's not enough vaccines. And right now, if you got money, you can go to hospital, you can, but if you're in the slums and, you've got no money, there's not much hope out there, really. Which is a bit sad. India's epidemic situation once improved, but Delhi and people lacked enough vigilance in addition to the large-scale gatherings and double mutant variant of the coronavirus. So there's been a double mutant variant of the coronavirus, which means it's mutated twice already. So, if a virus mutates once, there is a chance, there is a very small chance your vaccine will work. But if it mutates twice, there's a very low chance the vaccines will work and new vaccines will be needed. India has failed to prevent a second wave. Millions travel to celebrate Mahakumbh Mela, which is the Mela I was talking about, Indian festival. So both China and India are populous countries, but the results of the COVID fight are very different. India has not only failed to learn from China's experience, but even tried to take advantage of China's COVID-19 outbreak last year. For example, some Indian hackers targeted Chinese medical institutes amongst the outbreak. India, regarded by the West as the largest democracy worldwide, which has strong ambitions of becoming a major power. So there is another article as well, which actually talks very similar to this as well. So he says here, India can't afford China decoupling as the virus rages. So at the moment, as you know, India is going through a process of decoupling with China, and the reason is because of the border conflict they've had, as well as, siding with the Americans as well. And the Americans have told India, do everything you can to decouple with China. But all of this is doing is affecting India's own economy. So let me show you something, guys. Let me show you something. Let's see. So I want to show you this is India's GDP compared to China's GDP. As you can see, 1980 they were exactly the same. And look at the years. Year 2000, China started going up, but year 2020, look at the difference between China's GDP and India's GDP. When 40 years ago they were exactly the same. So what's the difference? I mean, the difference is, India has been playing catch up, and they've just been playing catch up with China, and instead of working with China and figuring out what China's doing and working with China and growing with China, they've just been doing these silly little, playing these games really. I mean, they've blocked hundreds of apps, Chinese apps, and that's just being petty really. I mean, that's just not going to get them anywhere, and they're just playing games. And what that's going to do is they're going to push out any Chinese investment in the country. They're going to push out other foreign investments because people are going to see what India's doing, and they just, India's got a lot of potential, but the government at the moment is just playing too many games, to be honest. They're siding with the US, and India's not getting anything from it. I'm siding from the US. Trust me, they're not getting a single thing. They're not getting a trade deal. They're not even going to get weapons. They get most of their weapons from Russia, and if the S-400 comes through from Russia, then US is going to place some sanctions on them anyway. So what is the point? The only point US is cuddling up with India is if they want India to play these games with China. And I know there's been a border issue, but it takes two countries to have a border issue. One country does not have a border issue by itself. So when they fought together against, disputed territory, and that should be an issue that should be sorted out between China and India. It's not an issue for the world, it's only between China and India. And both countries are at fault, to be honest. I'm not blaming China here, I'm not blaming India here. Both countries are at fault for border issues because, if they fought on undisputed territory, well, they need to sit down and work out the territory and work out, if they can't sort out the territory, then, just draw a temporary line or just stay away from each other, not start trouble. But India is obviously punishing China for it, but it was India's fault as well. So I just don't think India is doing things correctly, really. I mean, I agree with a lot of these articles that are coming out, and I think India seriously needs to look at themselves and focus on getting rid of the epidemic once and for all, working on the economy, and looking at themselves and also looking at China and trying to learn from China, or maybe work with China and see how they can grow with China, and not play these geopolitical games and join the Quad and all these silly groups. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. So any questions and queries, give me a shout and let's have a chat on the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.